What does change look like to you? Does it require massive technological innovations? Does it require massive revolutions? For me, change is much quieter. It's more subtle. It's the ever-changing basket that's being woven deep in the heart of Borneo. My name is Olivia Ling, and 12 years ago, my company adopted the Padungan Women's Project as our corporate social responsibility project. The project's purpose is to empower the Padungan women, and they're a nomadic group of people that live in the heart of Borneo. It's to give them a sustainable livelihood while safeguarding their heritage. Today, I want to show you how we can embrace change, and by doing so, we can still safeguard heritage. I want to show you how weaving a simple basket can weave together tradition and modernity, and it can give people a feeling of dignity and survival. Let me introduce you to the Padungan. The Padungan people are one of the last nomadic groups of people in the world. They live now semi-settled deep in the areas of the Ulu Baram in Borneo. They number about 15,000 people, but we know on our visits to the settlements, when we speak to the older Padungan, that there are actually a lot more who are semi-nomadic, still deeper in, few hours in from these settlements. And these people are not captured by the official government statistics, but they are at the moment about 15,000. And their way of life has become settled because of modernization. Now that you know a little bit about the Padungan and the Padungan Women's Project, I want to take your focus to the weaving project. So traditionally, the Padungan women always used to add to the economic lifeline of their families, and they did so by foraging in the forest for berries, for vegetables, for fruit, and whatever bounty the men brought back from hunts, the women would help to prepare this and look after the families. But with modernization, things have changed. Able-bodied men have to go to nearby camps or nearby villages to find work. Children who are of school-going age, who want to be educated, have to go to stay in hostels and schools that are sometimes 5 or 6 hours drive away from the settlements. So this leaves the Padungan women at home, in the settlements, looking after the very young, the very old, and often the sick. They've now turned to traditional weaving as a way that they can still add to the economic bottom line of their families. And this is where the Padungan Women Project comes in with our weaving project. With the weaving project, we aim to support these women, and we have about 100 women in the program at the moment, and it's to give them an opportunity to earn their money by creating traditional baskets. We bring these baskets down to town, and we try to find sustainable platforms to keep selling the same product and earn them a fair income while we do that. The second way we work with the Padungan community is through our community outreach programs. So one of these programs that we work often with is Project Shine. And Project Shine is, it allows us to very quickly bring emergency relief to a settlement when anything happens, like there's a fire or somebody gets ill or there's an epidemic or pandemic. We also help through education, and we help through providing medical care. Government aid is always on its way, but Project Shine allows us to get there sometimes a little bit faster. We also work on bigger projects for bigger impact, and these are often infrastructure type projects. These ones we work with different NGOs, for example, Light Up Borneo. And the purpose of this usually is to try and bring fresh running water or solar panels and solar farms to the more rural settlements. For us, the challenge really is to change. Now that you know a little bit more about us, I want to take your focus to thinking about how essentially we can take a product and keep changing it. How do we keep the heritage alive in this rapidly modernizing world? How do we keep the skill, tweak the product, and broaden the market? So at first, what we did is we took the traditional baskets and we just found new platforms, new markets for it. So we would take the traditionally woven baskets made by these women, bring them down to town, we'd look for fairs, we'd look for craft markets, we'd work with school open days, hospital open days, we'd partner with different charities, we'd sell them in cafes, in restaurants, in shopping malls, whatever space we had, we'd use it. You give us a shelf, we'll sell you a basket. That was what we did. So Anne, who is the director of the Padungan Women's Project, her and myself, I think we canvassed our entire friendship network, our family network, our colleagues, And everybody's home, their cars, their offices looked like the Penang Women's Project had thrown up all over it. There were baskets everywhere. So, having said that, I did mention that these were the more traditional looking baskets, and they were centered around a few types of shapes, colors, patterns, and waves. So we realized, okay, now that we've saturated this market, we really need to think bigger. We need to create new platforms. I needed to R&D new products and find or create fresh audiences. So the first way we did this was through the luxury corporate hampers and gifting. So I realized not only did we need new products, but we needed volume, right? And what better way to play the volume game than to get large corporations involved? In Malaysia, we are blessed with a culturally diverse population with different races and different religions. What does that mean for a retailer? It means many, many festive gifting opportunities. So what we did was we curated a thoughtful luxury hamper collection, always with a Penang Women's Project woven item at the center of it as its heartbeat. So every festive season now is greeted with a new range of hampers. So we started with Chinese New Year, we moved on to Christmas and Raya, and then now we cover Gawai, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day. Give me a chance and I'll sell you something for Teacher's Day. The challenge for us really is to make every collection look different, right? It has to look different and it has to look fresh. Why? Because we need to retain, obviously we want to grow, but we still need to retain the same corporate clients. So as the corporate clients, as the corporate hampers started developing a life of their own and giving us much more volume than selling one tote to just one person, we realized there was an opportunity to work with these corporates to give them an option to have corporate gifts that they could give throughout the year, something with their own corporate identity. So from here, we launched a CSR campaign. It was a campaign with a CSR focus, I should say, with the Petrojaya Properties GM as our spokesperson. We have a lovely lady in the audience today who helped us write a piece on that. And we're currently working with them on a diary/planner woven sleeve. The planner will slip in, and then it will have a lovely leather buckle to attach to it. So that's something that they can gift all year round. So the driving theme behind the idea was that in one go with one product, a company could tick their CSR box, they could give a gift that really mattered to their clients, and they could tell their brand story. So they could give a gift that would just keep on giving. So the next invention for us, while we were growing the hamper business, was to work with new products. We needed new products for individual clients as well. Corporates were going well, but we still needed something for that individual customer who walks into a shop and wants to buy one item. So to target different customers with that, we partnered with local fashion designers to recreate the Penang crafts, reimagine it. We created items that would appeal to a different market, a higher range market, and we did this by aligning with iconic Malaysian fashion brands who already had their own customer bases, they had their own sales channel, and they had this ability to help us elevate our brand and bring us to a completely new clientele. We developed the Must Be Love bag with a iconic Malaysian brand, and this is a beautiful, re-inspired Penang tote bag. It wouldn't be traditionally functional because it has large holes in it, but it looks very beautiful, has long handles, and it's wrapped with this delicious velvet ribbon, and it has big, chunky pearls that adorns all the top of the bag. So this became viral. It went completely viral around Malaysia and even Singapore, and we were so lucky because it appeared on the Instagram feed of a famous Malaysian fashion influencer, Asma. This range was so important for us because what it did was it opened the doors for us into these 5-star luxury hotel gift markets, into the gift shops that you walk into in every 5-star luxury hotel. This is something we really needed. We had been to them with our traditional range, and we've been rebuffed so many times because that traditional looking basket had just become too commonly available. You could pick it up at a different market, you could pick it up for a very low price point, and this really wasn't the target market for 5-star hotels. These new ranges, so the designer series and the hampers, they now add to about 5,000 pieces of Penang Women Project woven items each year. We're now looking at trying to add to that volume, and we're prototyping items now, hopefully that can be used for wedding gifting, which is so big here in Asia.
So the challenge for us is going to be to compete with those paper-printed options from China. And how are we going to do that? Well, we have to do that on price, and we also have to do that on telling our brand story. The cost for us rises essentially because of logistic issues. We have to send the materials that we weave with all the way into the interior, and that costs us a lot. 2 to 3 weeks later, when the items are completed, those items have to be transported back to Miri, and then from Miri, sent out to wherever their final location is. Earlier this year, in April, I was lucky enough to make a visit to 2 Penang settlements. And I did this with a group of volunteers. I went to Long Itamasal and to another place called Long Kawi. So this was really special for me, but it was also the moment where I realized how big our challenge was. I realized how big the problem really was for us. Speaking to the local headmen in both of these settlements, the plea from them was not for aid, it wasn't for medical supplies, it wasn't for money, it wasn't for a new structure. What they were asking for was the same. They were asking for bagi kita more project craftangan. They were asking for work. They were asking for more volume for their weavers. They need consistent and higher volumes of orders from us so their income becomes more consistent. Only when the women's income becomes more consistent can they actually make important changes to the lives of their families. When the money drip feeds in and is like a bonus every so often, like an extra ang bao that drops in, you can't make sustainable changes to your family's lifestyle. This made me realize on the trip back from the settlements that the humble Penang bag needed many more reinventions. We needed to make the pie bigger somehow. We needed to create new products. So as existing projects were ticking along, I went back to the drawing board and tried to think outside our product line. I thought about our tagline, and our tagline is, what your mind can conceive, we can weave. So from there, the Artist Series appeared. This is a groundbreaking collection for us because it fuses together Penang heritage with this rich Sarawak, artist landscape that we have. Artist here, Nia Latif, she helped us to kick off this collection by adorning our dompet shilling, our mini tote bags, and our clutches with her beautiful hand-painted art. So Nia's laboriously painted these beautiful little flowers in 3 layers of paint onto the products and then covered it with a layer of sealant to protect the artwork. So this amazing range is going to open up new markets for us. Now we can suddenly attend art exhibitions, right? We can show our goods at art exhibitions. We can show our goods in art galleries. And it also adds to that 5-star gift shop offering that we have. So this collection was immediately picked up by a new local 5-star hotel in Kuching. And the reason it was picked up was because it had this really strong Sarawak story, and it was unique. It's something that they hadn't seen before. Now our goods from these designer collaborations and the artist collection, you can find them in boutiques, you can find them in art galleries, luxury hotels all around Malaysia. And in all these places, there's a little card there in multiple languages that tells the story of the Penang and tells the story of our weavers. So this for us is great because it increases eyeballs on the project and it gives us a lot more visibility. In our efforts to change the product and create new markets, I reached out to local interior designers here in Sarawak, those ones who have a really good eye, that know how to blend the old with the new, and they're good at creating that modernized traditional look. So this has been super rewarding for us. We've worked on floor mats, we've worked on ceiling panels, we've done cushion covers, we've even done art installations. Just recently, we completed 200 pieces of ceiling panels that are now in the new conference room in the Dayak Foundation. So working with these creatives, who are in a very different field than us, has really helped us to broaden our design horizons. We often fall short, don't get me wrong. Our prototypes are often rejected, and we don't get the project. So that's hard. It hits us hard, and it hits the weavers hard, but we keep hammering away at our R&D, and eventually we'll figure it out. It's just it's a process for us. And it may mean that we may have to look at different materials as well. So the Penangs, traditionally, they weave with rattan, but Procuring rattan and preparing it is actually quite a long and arduous process. The women have to wake up really early, or the men. They have to enter the forest. They have to they have to find the rattan. Then they have to hack the vines. You have to curl the vines up, put them in your basket, take them back to the settlement. When you get back to the settlement, you have to then soak them. Then you have to boil them. Then you have to dry them out. And then you have to split them. You have to split them into even pieces so that you can weave with them. And after you've done that, you still have to pull the rattan 5 or 6 times through a V-shaped metal tool. And that's to make sure that it's ready for weaving and you've gotten rid of all the splinters. Even after all that is done, it's still in the same natural color that you harvested it in. So if you want to change its color, you then have to go through the arduous process of finding like a natural dye and then dyeing the rattan before you start weaving. So the Padungan Women's Project introduced, of all things, PVC packing tape in about 30 different colors to the Padungan women. This has given us the ability to weave in color, in more interesting designs, and it's allowed for durability of the product and allows the weavers easy access to the resources. However, as you can imagine, it often blocks us, because essentially we're using plastic, from selling our products on many different platforms. So now we're researching different options, such as ocean-bound plastic, and we have to move with the times. We need to somehow figure out how to stay relevant and still commercially viable. So by transforming traditional weaving into luxury art, we've ensured that the Padungan craftsmanship isn't just preserved. We're hoping that it thrives. The evolution means that the items that they weave aren't going to become relics of the dust heap. They're not going to become trinkety tourist items that you can only pick up in the market. We want it to become a vibrant part of their future and ours as Sarawakians as well. The women have to learn new skills, and they need to adapt their weaving style, and at the same time, the pressure is on us to keep finding new applications for their weaving. Change is not easy for the Padungan women. Change has not been easy for any of us. But they want to move forward. They want to embrace modernization. The hurdles are immense, but the Padungan Women's Project, we hope we're not just helping them survive, but we're giving them the tools to do so. So in conclusion, weaving is not just a skill for the Padungan women, it's their lifeline, really. It's a resilience in them, and it's their future. We proved that tradition and change can thrive together, as the other speakers mentioned. And by transforming these functional baskets into sought-after luxury items, we've ensured that their craft remains relevant and culturally significant. This is more than just preserving a tradition, right? It's about empowering a whole community. It's about mothers contributing to their households. It's about kids being able to stay in school. And it's about a culture finding its place in an ever-changing world. Change doesn't have to be a choice between preserving the past or embracing the future. Change is not the enemy of tradition. In fact, I believe it's its greatest ally. So as you leave here today, I ask you, what does change mean to you? For the Padungan women, it means weaving a future where her heritage not only survives, but thrives.